welcome back to my channel Endless Pages. I'm Liv and welcome to today's video, which is the 20 questions book tag. I have no idea who created this tag. I have done some digging and I can't seem to find the original one, so I apologize if anyone knows. I'll pop it in the description, but I apologize. I cannot figure out who started it, but I did get tagged by the always lovely Lauren from Law Loves Literature. I will of course tag her channel in the description. Her content is great, so if you haven't checked out her channel, please do, because she is such a sweet and lovely person, puts out great vlogs, so go check her out. Question number one is, how many is too many books in a series? I feel like I'm not going to answer this well, because I'm just going to say if I love a series, I'm not able to let go of it. Like I hate finishing series. I hate it so much because I read so much fantasy. I love to stay in that world. Like I want to stay in that world with those characters as long as I possibly can. So I say the more books the better, although I do understand that that can't always be a good thing, and sometimes book series are drawn on for too long and you're like, oh, they should have stopped there, like I'm not interested anymore, and it destroys the series for you. So I can understand that the more the better is not always good, and of course there's series that I can understand why there was only one or two books. So you like finish it and you're like, that finished at a great point. Like the Six of Crows duology, that's one series I will say I do not want any more books for that. And I know Lee has like bounced around that maybe one day she'll do a third book. I don't want that third book. Like I think it finished exactly where it needed to finish. I don't want any more Six of Crows books. Like sure, have the characters show up in the other books in the series like they're doing, but yeah, for that series, absolutely not. But for most fantasy series, I'm like, if it's a like 7-book series, yes. If it's a 14-book series, yes, keep it coming. Like stuff like Akatar and stuff, I could read that forever. I don't care. Like bring it on. Question number 2 is, how do you feel about cliffhangers? Love it. Absolutely love cliffhangers. It just gets you even more excited to pick up the next book. And I know it can be frustrating if you're reading a book series as it's getting published and it's not like another year until the next book, but then again, like you build up the hype and the anticipation, and finding out what happens is so worth the wait, and the build up to figuring out what's going to happen and waiting for it. And you know, it's great. I complained at the time being like, I'm not going to know what happens for like another year, but it's so worth it. I love it. It makes you think about it more. I think it's a clever technique. I like cliffhangers. So question number 3 is, hardbacks or paperbacks? I feel like if you had asked me this question a couple of years ago, I would have 100% hardbacks. And although I do still find it a little bit frustrating that there's not really an option for Aussies unless you want to shop online. It's mostly Australian people watching this, but if you're not Australian, you don't know, 90% of bookstores are paperback. And I don't know, years ago when I got back into reading, I just had this fascination. I mostly ordered hardbacks, but I feel like now that I'm buying more paperbacks, it makes me appreciate the hardbacks more, and I'm less likely to buy hardbacks and say, oh, only if I know I love the series, or only for this particular series. Because I don't really have a lot of collector's editions and stuff. I have like 2 from Goldsboro, and the rest of mine are like collector's editions that you can get at Dimmick. So I feel like it makes me appreciate them a little more. And I don't know, I feel like I've gotten less like, not snobbish, but less like, you know, about, I can't think of a word, so I'm just going to go like that, about my books. Books are books, and there's this, at the end of the day, what's inside them is still the same. You're still reading, and I love books in any form. So yeah, I feel like I'm going to say paperbacks now, because that's really what I buy. And when I was buying a lot more hardbacks, you were missing that in-store experience of walking through a bookstore and buying books there. That's exciting to me. Like that's an adrenaline rush to me. I love that. That gives me joy, going and buying physical books. And I don't think you can't replicate that feeling when you're just like shopping online. It's just not the same. So I'm going to say paperbacks. Question number 4 is, what's your favorite book? I feel like that is not a fair question. That's like asking a parent like who their favorite child is. Like you just can't do it. So I'm just going to say Six of Crows duology, of course. tied with the Gone series, of course, and the Hunger Games and the Mortal Instruments. I'm not going to talk about the blurbs because they are the only books I talk about on this channel, so I'm going to say those books. Question number 5 is least favourite book. I'm going to say Flowers in the Attic. I actually talked about this book in another tag video, so I won't talk about it too much. If you want to hear me talk about it more, I'll just pop it up there. But basically it's kind of like a reoccurring joke between my mum and I, because she got the book for me and recommended it to me. I was a early teenager when I read it, and some things happened in there that absolutely traumatized me. Some let's just say some menstruation related things, and some there was a little bit of incest, if I remember correctly, in that book that traumatized me. Still to this day, like, not emotionally over it. And she recommended me the book, my mum, because she read it at a similar age when she gave it to me. Like, she can't remember that happened, so it's a joke that I blame her for the trauma of having to read that book, and why on earth would she recommend me that? But yeah, it's funny. So I'm gonna say that book because it's emotionally scarred me. And like I said in the other tag video, should I reread it and vlog it and see if it's still traumatic? Because I don't remember 100% what happened in that book. I just remember maybe I blocked it out of my memory, just like trauma. Question number 6 is love triangles, yes or no? Personally, no. I'm not the biggest fan of love triangles. I feel like they frustrate me and they really, really annoy me. I don't know why. I'm annoyed by love triangles. Luckily, I don't come across heaps in my reading because I don't read contemporary romance, so I'm not exposed to it heaps. There's series where I can tolerate it, like the Infernal Devices trilogy. I didn't mind that love triangle, which really surprises me, but I gotta say it's one of my least favourite tropes. Question number 7 is the most recent book you just couldn't finish. Again, I've talked about this book a bit on my channel, so I'm not going to go into detail, but that is Hide by Kirsten White. Horrible characters, horrible plot line. I think I forced myself to at least try and get to 100 pages. I don't think I could even do that. Atrocious. Hated this book so much. I talk about it more in this video if you want to see. Question number 8 is a book you're currently reading. So I'm currently reading 3. So I've been slowly since October making my way through Royal Assassin, the second book in the Farseer trilogy by Robin Hobb. This one I'm listening to actually in audio format, and I think that's how I'm going to listen to the rest of Robin Hobb's books. This audiobook is like 28 hours and I'm listening on like 1.5 speed, so this book I feel like is going to take me the rest of the year to read, which I'm okay with because it's a slow paced with beautiful writing, so I don't mind kind of taking my time with it and like picking it down, putting it down, picking it back up, because I don't think I could just focus solely on this book just because of the pacing. And then I'm also, I started this month in November, The Toll by Neil Shusterman. This is the 3rd book in the Arc of Scythe trilogy. I loved Scythe, hated the 2nd book, Thunderhead. Am enjoying this more than Thunderhead, so that's a good start. I read about 120 pages this month, which is really good, so we're beating the slump. Enjoying it more than Thunderhead. It's interesting. I feel like it's drawing me back in, so that's a good sign. And then this 3rd book is my main focus at the moment. I think I'm even going to finish it tonight. That is Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This is about a band that was really popular in the 70s, selling out stadiums, and then one day in 79 they break up, no one knows why, and this is a tell-all interview. This is done in an interview style of the story of the band and why they broke up. This is so fast-paced. I'm absolutely adoring this book. It's sitting at a 4.5, 5 star. Taylor Jenkins Reid has done it again. Yeah, adoring this book so much. Question number 9 is last book you recommended to someone. I didn't pick this book out, actually. They had a list and they were like, here's what I'm interested in reading, because I know I'm a reader and they're trying to get into reading, and this was on the list, A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. And as you know, this is all I'll say. One of my favourite trilogies ever. I have talked about this book enough, but this was on her list and I said, this one make your number 1 priority. And I literally said, if you don't like it, I don't want to hear about it. Don't tell me. Please don't tell me. Question number 10, oldest book you've read based on publication date. So let's go to my Goodreads and see. I feel it's got to be one of my classics that I've read, right? oh no, that's my want to read. Let's go read, that would help. And let's sort by publication year. Where is it? There, publication year. And the oldest book I have read is, oh, that makes sense, Dracula by Bram Stoker. That was published in 1986. I don't have to tell you the plot, everyone knows what Dracula, vampire book. I rated this 2 stars. Really didn't like it. I thought that I was going to be, you know, obsessed with this book, the beginning of the vampire kind of stories, the original vampire story, but not a single thing happens in this book. It is boring as batshit. Like, it's so boring, and I guess you could say like it's more about the atmosphere and the writing, but it's in that classic writing, like classic style, that is just so hard to follow. And I finished it, but very reluctantly. Question number 11 is newest book you've read based on publication date, and that one is Ledge by Stacey McEwen. This is the first book in the Galatian trilogy. I read this because I went to a book signing where Stacey was there, and I followed Stacey on TikTok for so long and got my book signed, which was so fun. This book is really interesting. I found that the beginning of the book, the setup and the world building was fantastic. It's set like on this cliff, and it's icy and really harsh environment, I should say, and what the characters had to do to survive in this world. And then the second half of the book kind of really shifts, and it turns into a enemies to lovers kind of forced proximity in a way, and the banter is so good, and it set up really interesting kind of cliffhanger for the second book, and we got introduced to some really good side characters that I feel like hopefully we're going to see developed and more over the trilogy. So I'm really excited to read more of this for a debut book. I thought it was fantastic, absolutely loved it. Loved the atmospheric, amazing writing of the first half and the banter of the second half, so I would recommend this book. It's really fun. So question number 12 is favourite author. Again, how am I supposed to pick just one? Obvious ones: Cassandra Clare, Leigh Bardugo, R. Kuang. I think her writing is just phenomenal as well when I read the Poppy War trilogy. And I guess Taylor Jenkins Reid, but I've only read a book and a half of hers, so I don't know if I can really count her as a favourite. But the thing I love about Taylor Jenkins Reid is she gets me interested in books that I would never ever pick up from any other author. If I read this blurb with another author, like the Daisy Jones and the Six blurb, I'd be like, I'm not interested in that. That's not me. It's not fantasy. It's just, yeah. But she's got me interested in Evelyn Hugo, and she got me interested in reading about a band in Daisy Jones and feeling so connected to the story and the characters. Like, how does she do that? She does what no other author can do for me in contemporary stories. So Taylor Jenkins Reid is amazing. Question number 13, buying books or borrowing books? So you think as a library assistant and a shelver, I would say borrowing books, but of course buying books. You can't beat that feeling of buying a book. If you've seen my book collection, you know that I have an addiction, and an addiction that I will never be able to fix. Buying books is just, I love it. I love collecting books. I love buying books. But now that I'm actually working in a library, I'm finding myself borrowing more, because when I shelve, I see all these books and I just put them back on my shelf and just put them at the desk so I can get them. So I feel like my borrowing habits have improved since working at a library, because I literally walk past something and I just add it to my collection. So yeah, I would definitely say buying books I like more though, because I like having my own collection, my own little library. Question number 14 is a book that you dislike that everyone else seems to love. I don't know, I feel like maybe the Shadow and Bone trilogy by Leigh Bardugo. I haven't finished it yet. I've read the first 2 books and I will finish it. I will force myself to finish it so I have context for when I continue on with the other books. But it will be very reluctantly, and I keep putting it off because, my god, I do not want to read it. I find these books so boring. The only character I like is like Nikolai. I love Nikolai. He was fun, and he really helped me get through the second book. His introduction was a godsend. Yeah, these books are boring, and like comparing them to Six of Crows, like how is that by the same author? Yeah, really don't like them. Boring. Question number 15 is bookmarks or dog ears? Personally, bookmarks. I don't dog ear my pages, never have, never will, but you know, your books, you do whatever the hell you want to do with them, but I hate dog ears so much. Like, you can use anything as a bookmark, just like shove anything in rather than like bending all the pages and making them all yucky. So definitely bookmarks. I don't use bookmarks often though because I always misplace them, so whatever is lying next to me is now the bookmark. Question number 16, a book you can always reread. Say it with me, City of Bones by Cassandra Clare. I've lost count of how many times I've reread this book. I'm currently rereading the series, which is no surprise to anyone that's watched any of my videos. I will always read it, timeless. I can read it over and over and over. Question number 17, can you read by hearing music? If it has lyrics, absolutely not. But I find like ambient sounds or classical music really helps me focus. Like if I'm in on public transport, which I am often, or if I'm in public and I just can't focus on my book, pop a bit of classical music in and it blocks out all other sound. Yeah, so I do enjoy, I don't choose to, like I don't sit down and put on music. It's only really if I'm in public or if I can't concentrate and I need something to block out my surroundings, then yes, but it's not my preference. Question number 18, one POV or multiple POVs? Multiple POVs. My favorite thing ever when I pick up a book and find that it's multiple POVs. It just confirms that I'm definitely gonna buy it. I love multiple POVs. It makes books more fun and fast paced, and especially if they're found family, it just makes it all the much sweeter. I love it. Love it. Favorite thing in a book is when there is more than one POV. Question number 19. Do you read a book in one sitting or over multiple days? Over multiple days. There's very few books that I've been able to just sit down and read in one go. I'd love to be able to do that, but my focus is just not great and I really struggle to focus and sit. Even if I'm loving a book, I'm still going to pick up my phone and get distracted. So there's very few books that I've read in like one day or read in a couple of hours because I lack focus, but yeah, I'm more likely to read it over multiple days. Question number 20 is, who do you tag? I'm going to tag a book fiend named Mel. I'm going to tag Meredith from Reading with Merb, and I'm going to tag Sash from Sash Reads. I hope you enjoyed that video. I love doing tags. It's something a little fun, something a little different. Let me know in the comments, do you disagree with anything I said? Do you agree with anything I said? If you want to answer any of the questions in the comments below, I would love to see your thoughts on this tag. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed. As always, all of my social media links are in the description below, and I will see you in whatever the hell I post next. Bye!